Happy New Year and welcome to this edition of ACAP Today for the week of January 4th, 2021, the first full week of the new year. I'm Jason Parent with the Aroostook County Action Program. On today's program, we conclude our Maine Leaders Conversation series. This week, our very special guest is Maine Governor Janet Mills. Governor Mills will join us in the feature interview portion of today's edition of ACAP Today. But before we get to her and to that interview, let's first turn to the news and information that you can use for this week of January 4th, 2021. We begin by sharing with you again that our status at the Aroostook County Action Program as it relates to our open status to the public is that we have closed all of our ACAP facilities to the public as a result of the spike in COVID-19 cases in Aroostook County. However, we are providing all services remotely. We do provide some of our services in person, including our early care and education programs, which are offering some of their services in person, and our home weatherization programs, which are also happening right now in individuals' homes, but with proper protocols in place. We encourage you to give us a call at 764-3721 if we can be of any assistance to you, or you can go in person to our Presque Isle, Fort Kent, and Holton locations where there's a video doorbell and also window access service and curbside service for folks available at those facilities. So please do help us by reaching out to us in those ways, over the phone or in person at those three facilities using the ring bell option. We also want to let folks know that we are monitoring closely the fact that the COVID-19 rental relief program, the most recent edition of that program, has come to an end as of December 30th at 11:59 p.m. We are working with Maine Housing and with state officials on a new program, a new COVID-19 rent relief program that we hope will start sometime in the month of January here. We understand that folks are concerned about that. The new stimulus package included funding for rental assistance, and we are awaiting word on how that program will be administered and hope to have that information to you as soon as it is available. We also want to make you aware of other available resources that are available to you at this time. We have put together this flyer, which includes information on our WIC program, our home energy assistance program, workforce development programs, and the Navigator program, which we'll talk about in just a moment, and also our partner behavioral health sister agency, Northern Lighthouse, which is available to schedule appointments for folks who are having a challenging time through this pandemic as it relates to challenges of concerns of behavioral and mental health. So certainly we encourage you to reach out to us, check out this flyer online and connect with us. Speaking of connecting with us, if you're uncertain of what programs you might be eligible for, but know that you are in need of assistance, please reach out to us and ask about a navigator and being connected with a navigator. You can call our main line, again, 764-3721. Our navigators are funded through the CARES Act funding to help meet the community need at this time. So please do reach out to us and we will connect you with a navigator as needed. We also want to share with you at the beginning of this brand new year that we are available to help individuals who are looking to quit smoking. Perhaps that was your New Year's resolution, and perhaps you need some help along the way. We are here to help with that. Our smoking cessation individual, Elaine Sipe, is available to help. She can be reached at 227-2348 or at esipe@acap-me.org. Elaine can offer things such as free, convenient help in the form of quit kits, virtual meetings, which she's happy to hold over Zoom or other platforms, helping you make a quit date. If that has already occurred on January 1st and you're just needing assistance, she can help you and pick up from that point, and connecting you with free nicotine replacement therapies. This is available to you at no charge through the Aroostook County Action Program, and we encourage you to reach out if you are looking to kick tobacco products in 2021. And we also are offering to community partners, businesses, and organizations the opportunity to help establish or to revise and bring up to code tobacco policies at their workplace, which include vaping policies for many employers who did not have it in their original policy. This is also offered free of charge. In addition to offering the service, we will offer free signage for any business that works with us or organization that works with us on reevaluating and redefining implementing their tobacco policies. Chastity Holland is our person that works in this area, and she can help you update your tobacco policy. Email her at cholland@acap-me.org, and she will be very happy to help you. We also want to remind you of another service that we are offering at our 771 Main Street location. It is our community closet. It is here to serve the community. It's a 24/7 little shelter that is available with clothing, and we encourage people to drop off gently used clothing items, unwanted clothing items at the community closet. And we have a team that helps to organize the clothing. And it's also available for folks in need of clothing to pick up again 24/7. We encourage you to stop by our facility at 771 Main Street. It is to the left of our main entrance in the little area that has been sheltered from the elements in the corner of the overhang in front of our building. We also have the community cupboard at 771 Main Street and at other locations across Aroostook County. And inside that community cupboard is an Aroostook County food resource guide. We know that food security is a huge issue nationwide and certainly here in Aroostook County, and we encourage you to reach out to us for assistance or to check this community food resource guide out online or to visit a community cupboard as you need across Aroostook County. There are several locations, many in your local communities as well. We also are offering free cloth face masks available to any folks who are in need. We know that there are children who have returned to school this week to in-person learning. And if you are in need of masks to put into the rotation so that you can always have a clean, fresh mask to send your child off to school with, these are adult-sized masks, so they would be better for older children. However, we are offering those, again, free of charge to any people who need them, no questions asked. Please do come to our Presque Isle facility near Walmart, our Holton Military Street facility, or our Fort Kent facility in the industrial park, and we will get those masks out to you. You can also call us and we will mail them to you as well. We are looking forward to new home buyer education classes in 2021. Greg Doak, who coordinates this program with us and is our certified HomeWorks instructor, is registering now for his first class of the year, which will happen on January 30th. There are classes that are happening throughout the rest of the year. And so if you have an interest in this at all at any point in time in the course of the year, it looks like the interest rates are going to stay at record lows for a period of time. We encourage you to get in while that is happening. And again, that number is 764-3721, or you can email Greg directly at gdoak@acap-me.org. We also want to remind folks who are interested in a potential need for heating assistance this season that our home energy assistance program is in full operation at this time of year. We are currently interviewing over the phone and doing all appointments over the phone and getting all proof either done by mail or folks who are bringing them to our facilities in person where we scan or copy them and get them back out the door to you. It takes about 30 days to receive all documents and to process an application from the point of the interview. So we ask that folks be considerate of that. We also want to let folks know that you can call us and schedule an appointment. We are scheduling now into the next month. So now is a great time to schedule an appointment, and you'll be able to have the credit on your fuel account if you qualify. Will stay on there for 18 months or until it is all used up. So certainly well worth your while to apply. And given that the income guidelines have changed in the last couple of years, we do believe that thousands more Aroostook County households would be eligible for the home energy assistance program. So it's worth checking out our website to see what the income guidelines are and giving us a call to schedule an appointment. We also are working with our workforce development team into 2021 to continue the employment work sessions, the work topic sessions that include interviewing tips and tricks, making career choices, resume and cover letter development, job preparation, retention, and much more. We encourage you to reach out to our office if you would like to register for these all online classes. It's a collaborative of Maine's workforce boards to provide these free virtual employment workshops, and they continue into 2021. So we encourage you to give us a call and we can get you registered online for the next available session, as many people are trying to retool in 2021 for what will happen next in terms of potential future employment. And lastly, we are encouraging folks to check out openings of our own here at ACAP. We are currently seeking individuals to help us work a wellness shelter that we hope to establish soon. again, to help individuals who are experiencing homelessness at this time. More information will be released on that in a little bit, but we are seeking individuals who would like to work shifts at the temporary wellness shelter, and also program associates to work in the rental assistance program, which we anticipate will be back up and running in short order in the beginning of this new year. So please do check out those openings and others on the ACAP website, acap-me.org. And with that, that's news, and that's this week's news and information that you can use. And we are so pleased to be joined in this final edition of our Maine Leaders Conversation series on ACAP Today by Governor Janet Mills. Governor Mills, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Jason. Good to see you, and good to see everybody, at least virtually, distantly, in the county. I'm here at the Blaine House this afternoon. No longer in quarantine, but finding I'm getting a lot done by Zoom and computer every day.
So speaking of Zoom and computer, it's become the way we've worked in 2020. And what are your reflections on the year that was at this point in terms of just, gosh, everything that's happened in 2020 and as you look back on it?
Well, everybody is pretty down about the year so far, and I can't blame them. But I will say there have been some silver linings. This is not the year any of us expected to have. 2020 was going to be our bicentennial, the year we celebrated 200 years of statehood, a separation from Massachusetts, something to be very happy about. And it was the year to celebrate 200 years of women's vote as well. And last year was the year to celebrate 100 years of women's vote. Don't push it. I feel like I've been voting for 200 years. And last year we were celebrating 100 years of the Blaine House being in state hands. So there were a lot of things to commemorate and celebrate and be happy about. Obviously, the bicentennial, we started out the bicentennial with in Presque Isle, Maine, at a commemorative event there with a lot of town leaders, and then went down to Augusta, Lewiston, Portland, Bangor too. And that was probably the last big bicentennial event we had before this whole thing hit. That was almost a year and a half ago we did that. So it was a year of high expectations, results and productivity, very different from what we expected, obviously. The pandemic obviously dictates the history of 2020, the year 2020. Nothing can prevent that. And as sad as it is to have seen more than 260 lives in Maine taken alone here in Maine, and thousands become ill, and some with permanent after effects, and more than 2,000 to date, 2,000 healthcare workers having been diagnosed with COVID-19. That's the downside. The upside is that Maine people stuck together, held together, showed courage, showed patience, and they still are. And I plead with them now and every day to continue doing so, because we're not out of the woods yet. But Maine people have stood together. Maine companies, Maine businesses have come to the fore. Bangor Savings Bank, for instance, contributed to help us hook children up to the internet, buying hotspots, buying devices to make sure they can stay connected with their teachers and friends and schoolmates. And LL Bean lent us warehousing facilities, call center personnel. They started making PPE, they started making face masks and donating them. And American Roots and Flow Fold started making PPE. And I think the state of Maine alone bought about 22,000 face masks, this kind here, from a company named American Roots in Westbrook. And companies all across the state, including in Aroostook County, have been turning to. At the state level, the Department of Corrections employees have been helping the Department of Labor employees. And the Department of Corrections alone, with inmate help, have made hundreds of thousands of pieces of PPE. Pretty good stuff. Maine businesses and Maine people have turned to. Every day I get letters, handwritten letters from people all over the county, all over the state of Maine, every town, expressing gratitude to some extent, sometimes suggestions and ideas about how we can do things differently, how we can secure compliance with the health and safety precautions. And we're so pleased um, in December alone to see the vaccine come rolling through, truckloads of vaccines coming to Maine, and we are cautiously optimistic about getting those out. It's a logistical um, feat to get it distributed to everywhere it has to be distributed. We're trying right now to get all the healthcare workers, the high-risk healthcare workers. A.R. Gould has received a supply, and I think Cary Medical Centers and some others, and we'll be getting a supply in the next few weeks. We're trying to make sure we get it out as widely as possible, initially to the high-risk healthcare workers and to EMS people, and then to nursing home staff and residents and whatnot, and then ultimately to the general population. But there's just a little bit of it coming down the pike so far. We're anxious to get the bulk of it and to get all 1.3 million people in Maine who are eligible and willing to be vaccinated by early summer, late spring, at least June and July. So there's silver linings to all that. That's the pandemic. The rest of 2020, I mean, we have continued to talk about economic recovery and economic development. We've continued to talk about climate change, what we can do with wind power and solar power. There have been several big projects on wind and solar in the county alone that have applied to the PUC for long-term contracts. And our climate council has been working assiduously and issued a lengthy report just a few weeks ago on how we can move forward, get ourselves weaned off of fossil fuels for heating and transportation in particular. Maine families still spend about $5 billion a year on fossil fuel, and that money goes right out of state. It leaves the state of Maine, doesn't come back. So we're anxious to move on that and anxious to get people looking at different ways of transportation to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels.
So a lot in 2020 and certainly a full plate in 2021. How do you decide, obviously with, tax revenues down, but the need being so great across the state and the legislature coming back into session, how do you help set priorities, and what is sort of the rubric, I guess, you're using to set priorities for 2021? Because there's so much that can be done and should be done.
Yeah, there certainly are a lot of things that should be done and can be done. Education, healthcare, climate issues are still foremost in my mind as they were a year ago. And I think when we went into 2020, those were our priorities as well. And the legislature did take a lot of good steps before they were required to adjourn because of the pandemic in March, and left us with a number of good tools. Late in the fall, we were required to do a curtailment because the revenue is not coming in. In that curtailment, we nevertheless kind of held harmless general purpose aid to education. We held harmless those vital healthcare services, those life-saving supports for Maine people, especially during a pandemic. You can't take away healthcare. And we had built up, thank God, a year ago, we had built back up the public health nursing program across the state of Maine, which had been decimated in previous recent years, unfortunately. We were able to hire back a lot of public health nurses and build back up the Maine CDC, Center for Disease Control. Thank God, just in time for this pandemic. I don't know what we would have done without Nirav Shah and his team in fighting this pandemic. So our priorities are still the same: public health, healthcare, education, climate change issues.
We've been working in community action across the state very closely with your administration through the pandemic with things like rental assistance and quarantine social support services that we've been offering. And then obviously our traditional basket of programs, many of us offering childcare and keeping those programs open for the most part, except for at the very start of the pandemic. And of course, the home energy assistance program, we just talked about home energy. Where do you see, there was a great plan that you had unveiled just prior to the pandemic hitting? Where do you see us in terms of the Community Action Network in partnership with your administration moving forward?
Thanks. Well, the economic development plan had 3 specific goals. We're sticking to those 3 specific goals, which include increasing the gross domestic product of the state of Maine by X%, increasing the productivity of each individual worker, increasing wages, and increasing the number of people coming to Maine and being born in Maine, increasing population, increasing the workforce generally over the next 9 years now. Still a goal. One of the silver linings of the pandemic, and I don't know how long we can count on this, but over the summer and into the fall, we saw a lot of people moving to Maine. We've seen all over the state, including in the county, people buying real estate values going up, for better or for worse. Makes some of us a little squeamish about property, but it's a good thing overall because people are bringing their kids here, wanting to raise their kids here. We have branded Maine as a safe place to live, work, and play. We are still doing that in the pandemic, and we'll do that after this pandemic, after we get beyond it. So one of the things that's talked about in the economic development plan of last year carried through in the Economic Recovery Committee and their report of a month ago now is the importance of childcare to almost everything we do. Childcare and broadband are big themes for the Economic Recovery Committee and for the Economic Development report of last year. So in the area of childcare, we've taken a lot of federal money, the CARES Act money, that Congress appropriated, and used a tremendous amount of it for childcare. Initially, we used, I think, maybe 10 million for childcare for first responders and healthcare people who had to work at the beginning of the pandemic. Then we expanded that. And we used it for childcare. We increased the rates for childcare that were paid for by Medicaid and whatnot. And then increasing the slots is difficult. We don't have enough trained childcare workers, frankly, childcare specialists. So we want to see more of that. And then in recent months, we put some of the federal money behind school-based childcare. I know you're familiar with that. And we wanted to get teachers and school children back in the classroom. But it was so hard without a robust childcare support system to get teachers who have young kids themselves many times, many of them do, get them back in the classroom, especially with sort of rotating schedules and with schools being partly remote, partly in person. They needed childcare, and everybody needed childcare. People needed childcare to get back to work after the restrictions were lifted back in April and May. So that's a continuing problem, and it is a benefit, not just to the parents in question, but a benefit to be selling the state of Maine, to be marketing the state of Maine as a great place to live, work, and play, and work remotely even, if we have a much more robust childcare system. So in broadband, in July, the people voted on a bond issue, $15 million bond issue on broadband. The Connect Me Authority, the board members of that Connect Me Authority are looking at ways to spend this in the most efficient way possible. Where the biggest need is, mapping the state of Maine, mapping those parts of the state of Maine that haven't been really accurately identified as lacking or not lacking, mostly lacking adequate internet access. So we're doing that, and I'm very much hoping and communicating with our two Senators Collins and King, about broadband being part of the congressional package that's being negotiated right this minute. Hopefully, infrastructure in the coming year, and broadband now, childcare to come, expanding job opportunities for all Maine people.
Sure. In terms of Maine governors and connections to Aroostook County, the last governor that's probably had the connections that you have to Aroostook County was John Reed, who was
John Reed. Yeah, he's a great guy. And hey, you got the highway expanded to Holton, I think, in his years. Didn't quite get it up to Fort Madawaska, but then the
miles there.
Highway, yeah, the last mile, as we're talking about, the last few miles, yeah.
But between your connections and your familial ties to Ashland and your, sort of your upbringing in Western Maine, rural Western Maine, you have a true understanding of the both benefits and challenges of rural parts of the state. And I think there are many of us concerned as we look to the decennial census and maybe what we're going to see, maybe not quite the population boost that we may be getting as a result of the pandemic and the decennial census combined with maybe funding cuts that come as a result of post-pandemic spending. What are your thoughts on how places like rural Maine, like Aroostook County, like your hometown area of Farmington? How do those places survive and thrive into the 2020s and beyond?
Yeah, good question, Jason. Good question. Um, and speaking of, you asked what the role of the CAP agencies is in this time of need, and I should have mentioned also weatherization programs. I'm really big on weatherization, and one of our goals of the Climate Council of their report was to uh, install another 100,000 heat pumps within the next few years. And I think that's a lifesaver and a game changer. It really is for rural Maine, especially. And I've been to so many when I'm visiting and campaigning, been to mobile home parks and all kinds of areas of the state, apartment buildings and downtown Dover, Foxcroft, and suburban areas of Bangor. And, we have the oldest housing stock of any state in the country. And that also means that we have fairly relatively old heating systems too. So weatherization, which you folks do, and using the Efficiency Maine Trust and funds we're generating for them to transfer our dependency on fossil fuels to things like heat pumps. And that's something that weatherization programs do as well. So back to my roots in Franklin and Aroostook and Hancock County. My grandparents on my mother's side, their names were Coffin, Lawrence and Kit Coffin, were lifelong residents of Ashland, Maine. So whenever I go through Ashland, I stop at the Haggerty Graveyard there, the cemetery just outside of town, just south of town, stop and pay my respects to my grandparents, my great uncles and aunts, and other ancestors who lie there. And it's always very moving to me because I spent all my summers in Ashland as a kid growing up, and many vacations, holiday vacations such as we're seeing right now. I would be up there playing in the snow in Ashland. So I'm very close, very fond of the area. Um, how can rural Maine adjust? That's one of the things. Weatherization programs, broadband, obviously, as I talked about a few minutes ago, with help from the federal government, we can get everybody connected. We can. Even that last mile down that last farmyard driveway through the potato field and up to the Canadian border on one side and the other side and up through the woods, getting people connected. Some people say, well, satellites will do it. The studies show that satellites are not going to do it. It's just not the quality or capacity that fiber right now presents, for instance. But we are talking to all the providers and getting them to the table to talk about how we can do broad, not just installing it, but getting the monthly fees down too, the pole attachment fees that have become so onerous, and the monthly fees that impact a senior citizen's ability to get health care through telehealth, staying in their own home, getting their blood pressure and pulse and oxygen levels tested, by broadband, over the internet, getting kids in the rural areas well educated as anybody in Cumberland County, in the wealthier school districts, getting them the best education possible through connectivity, and getting people the opportunity to work from home, as we've discovered during this pandemic. It's one of the silver linings, is a great boon to the economy and and to public safety. Not commuting 50 miles a day, 50 miles each way, not having to show up in an office and finding out that you can be just as productive, and your boss finding out that you can be just as productive and as available to your family uh, and to your coworkers like this by Zoom as you are in the office much of the time.
Well, speaking of that, and I want to be respectful of your time, I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge that as a boss, you have done a tremendous job leading a team. We've interfaced with many of your departments and many of your even your inner circle staff like Hannah Pingree and Anna Hicks, and certainly through associations like with Maine Housing and obviously the Department of Health and Human Services, and the services that we've been able to offer collaboratively with them through your administration have been very effective, and the connections and the team members are very, very great to work with. So I have to say that to you and thank you.
Thank you for saying so. I
And-
mean, I'm truly blessed by having a terrific staff, and the test was this year, and they passed the test with flying colors. And the 15 members of the cabinet, 9 of whom are women now, 9 out of 15, none of them has taken a day off, I swear. We are on calls every day. People like Heather Johnson and Nirav Shah, who's CDC director, Jean Lambrew, Pender Macon, and all of them have just been so remarkable. Every day they're problem solving. They never say, "Oh my God, I can't do anything about this." No, it's always like some problem hits you in the face, and major problems that nobody ever expected. And we say, "Holy cow, how can we do the least harm and save the most people? How can we protect the most people and do the least harm to some other aspect of the state of Maine or our economy?"
I can echo those sentiments because I'm equally blessed up here with our team. They've just done a fantastic job. And in the midst of going through the emotions and the challenges and the anxiety that comes with the pandemic and all of our families, they've just come to work every day and just given it their all, or work from home every day and given it their all.
Yep.
And so lastly, the last question I'm asking all of our Maine leaders is, what are you resolving in 2021?
Be prepared. I'm resolved to being prepared for anything and everything that gets thrown at me. I think we've survived a lot this year. The Maine people have stuck together and survived a lot this year. Hopefully going into next year, my commitment is to engage with the people of Maine, all over Maine, be a partner with them, listen to them. I'm not here to tell them what's best for them. I'm here to reflect what I learn from a lot of sources. I get educated every day, but I'm also here to talk to the people of Maine, however and whenever possible, and listen to their needs. I'm hoping that 2021 brings good health, good jobs, a robust economy, and good schooling, good education for every kid, every child in the state of Maine. That's our goal. And I hope the people of the county share that goal, and the people of the CAP agencies share that goal as well.
A perfect happy 201st birthday gift for the state of Maine.
Yeah, we'll celebrate 200 plus one. It'll be a plus 1 year.
Doesn't have to be a round number, does it?
No, it doesn't have to be.
It'll be extra special to be worth celebrating on the backside of this. It'll be that much more meaningful, right?
I hope so. That's right. That's right. And so finally, I guess, well,
I'm gonna just say thank you for joining us on ACAP today, Governor Mills. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the great work.
Say hi to all your board members, Pat Sutherland and Trey Stewart and Troy Jackson and so many others whom I'm pleased to work with off and on over the years.
Yes, we're blessed with a great board and great staff. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason.
And we thank Maine Governor Janet Mills for being the final guest on our Maine Leaders Conversation series. We've had some incredible chats in the last week with folks across the state of Maine, all of Maine's congressional delegation that serves Aroostook County, Governor Janet Mills, Dr. Nirav Shah, and our two own leaders in the Maine Senate, Senate President Troy Jackson, and Senator Trey Stewart from District 2 here in Aroostook County, have all been our guests in the Maine Leaders Conversation series. It's been an exciting 6 weeks for us, dating back to Thanksgiving, and we appreciate, or the week leading into Thanksgiving, and we appreciate all our guests for taking the time out of their very busy schedules to join us. Next week, we will return with another edition of ACAP Today off of the Maine Leaders Conversation series and resume some of the interviews with some of the key folks here at ACAP. We have some great programs lined up about some exciting things happening in the new year that we want you to to know about. And so we look forward to some familiar ACAP faces joining us in the feature interview again next week. But in the meantime, before we leave you today, we want to remind you that if you are in need of any assistance as we started the broadcast out, please do reach out to us as we turn the page and the calendar into this new year. Many folks are still suffering from the economic impacts, and as we see a surge of cases in Aroostook County as it relates to actual incidents of COVID-19, we know that many folks are in need of assistance. So please do reach out. If you need anything, you can contact us on the phone. You can contact us by email. Check out our website. There's a lot of great valuable information there. Follow us on Facebook so you can see all the latest. We're also on Twitter, and we have the YouTube channel where you can view the full series of ACAP Today, Maine Leaders Conversation Series, and other broadcasts and things that we put out there for folks to check out. And finally, before we leave you today, we end our Maine Leaders Conversation Series with our own ACAP leaders in terms of individuals who have been with us for a good number of years. We've been celebrating some milestone anniversaries in the 6 weeks that we've done the Maine Leaders Conversation Series. We end our Maine Leaders Conversation Series with our own leader in terms of the individual who's been with ACAP for the longest number of years. We introduce you to Pat Good. Pat is a staff aide at our Early Care and Education Center at Gouldville here in Presque Isle. She is ACAP's longest serving employee. She began her employment with ACAP this month, January, 43 years ago, back in 1978. Pat is a great woman, a great person, has a lot of energy, and is dedicated to our mission each and every day. And we thank Pat for serving us for 43 years and hopefully many, many more to come. Pat, thank you so much for all you have done. And thank you to all of our ACAP team for their incredible service across Aroostook County over many, many years. But Pat, we salute you today for your 43 years, marking your milestone anniversary as our leading employee in terms of longevity this very month. And with that, we thank you all for joining us for this edition of ACAP Today. We will return next week, the week of January 11th, with a brand new episode as we come out of the Maine Leaders Conversation Series, and we'll talk tobacco. If quitting smoking is your thing at the beginning of this new year, we'll tell you how we can help when we come back with another edition of ACAP Today next week. Have a great week and a very, very happy new year to all of you on behalf of all of us at the Aroostook County Action Program. We'll see you next time.